the camera stays on the cold, antiseptic hallways of a courthouse where people are dissecting their private lives under the harsh glow of fluorescent lights. The tension that usually precedes a total breakdown is present in the oppressive quiet. For years, the world watched as hip-hop kings built an empire founded on pure loyalty and ambition. But these days, it seems like that monarchy is being dismantled piece by piece. Reports are coming out of the inner sanctum of this legal issue that point to a calculated move that is so cold that it has taken even the most seasoned observers by surprise. Between the paperwork and legal procedures, there has reportedly been a revelation that dramatically changes the trajectory of this incident. From what we're hearing, Offset made a startling claim behind those closed doors, one that goes straight to the heart of his relationship with Cardi B. According to rumors, Offset has already stated that Cardi B is expecting a child, but the child is not his. Property and custody disputes are no longer the sole issues at hand. There is a psychological battle going on in the highest court of public opinion. The atmosphere in the room reportedly became chilly as the charge loomed over the proceedings. Outside of the courts, the digital world is already coming to a complete collapse. There are theories on every platform. Fans are analyzing every public appearance and every cryptic social media post for a sign of the truth. And the internet is reacting with a mixture of disbelief and wild speculation. Stefan receives a pre-game message as the depiction of a lasting bond breaks down into a series of charges and leaks. One message of inspiration: good luck. It seems as though a message is about to arrive, given the cold tone of that single line that was caught on camera just a few days ago. Before to the game, one outstanding message about the resulting disaster. This open show of disinterest served as a prelude to a deeper and more shaky division. Offset's courtroom claims continue to surface, raising questions about whether this is the final, dreadful round in a high-stakes game of deception. Instead of whether they would reconcile, the suspense now centers on how much more damage can be done before the gavel finally collapses. For those who were once the most powerful duo in the music business, the change from the bright lights of a Super Bowl stadium to the gloomy illumination of a courtroom represents a step into a much darker future. An internal panic has been described as the atmosphere around the recent events. Since the public facade was established, legal teams have struggled to maintain control over a narrative that has gotten out of hand for any PR strategy. Finally buckled under the weight of the year's most intense pack and leap. What do you know? Though, We Path supporters, united, persisted, and won. Most anticipated sporting event. Audiences claimed that Cardi B and the professional football sector had once truly rejoiced over the relationship, which appeared to signify a new beginning. We remember that the air was described as buoyant and full of a vigor that seemed to be a collective victory. This was quite vibrant and packed. What do you know though? In the face of adversity, We Path fans united, persisted, and won. Throughout the discussion, which focused on unity and a sense of belonging, the phrase "we all we got" was adopted as a survival mantra. Insiders, however, claim that this public display of loyalty was merely a front for a growing psychological tension. The supporters noticed the obvious sign of a split when the game eventually arrived. They unfollowed each other on Instagram. Cardi B was utterly silent. The vibrant vocal supporter who had pushed for the journey was gone, replaced with a person who seemed to be going through the motions with a chilly, purposeful demeanor. The opportunity to deliver a motivational speech to Stefan Diggs was received with a harsh two-word response. The online community was chilled by the video's contemptuous remarks. According to those who saw it, during that brief interaction, the world understood the fire had been extinguished. There was a buzz on the internet, with the understanding that the commitments had only been made a few days before. But Cardi B has one thing going for her: she doesn't seem like the type of person who keeps to herself. Nevertheless, reality was already shifting toward total isolation. When this timeline is carefully examined, several episodes emerge that indicate the circle's deep internal breakdown. The Super Bowl reportedly served as the catalyst for a series of revelations that Cardi B could not ignore. A crowded rivalry resulted from the presence of many people from Stefan Diggs' background, rather than the private assistance that had been promised. Reports that multiple Digg-related women and families were sharing a space caused a level of public humiliation that was difficult to manage privately, according to spectators, making the stadium feel small. The ultimate indicator of a digital execution was reportedly caused by the psychological strain of having too many previous incarnations in one arena. Unfollowing one another on Instagram was seen by millions as the last straw. a public declaration that the visitation patterns of their lives would no longer coincide. Viewers then noticed the obvious indication of a divide. They unfollowed each other on Instagram. This digital severance is said to have been the catalyst for the current courtroom chaos, as Diggs's public friendship came to an end. Offset reportedly seized the chance to get back into the story, but not in the way anyone had expected. Instead of quietly observing the consequences, Offset is actively advocating a new, more damaging theory. According to the leaks that came from the court case, the claim that Cardi B is pregnant with another man's child has added another level of scrutiny to the case. For instance, it might feel as if you and I were going to die while utilizing a scanner app. Please have a look at this. Look at this, please. And we're all aware of this, fascinated by a case that was already very contentious. According to rumors, Offset is depicting this as the pinnacle of betrayal, a secret that remained hidden while the public's focus was diverted by the football season. This charge has set off Card's internal terror camp as they allegedly attempt to determine how to disprove such an assertion. Her brand is not further harmed by the enthusiasm on social media, where armchair detectives are examining every frame of recent films for evidence of a hidden life. The Super Bowl defeat has sparked a deeper online conversation on trust and paternity. The legal teams are reportedly preparing for a drawn-out battle on the veracity of these accusations. The psychological stakes are very high. Cardi B is accused of double booking her lover while everyone else was focused on the game. Insiders claim that she is not the kind to leave quietly, which suggests that even more startling revelations are likely to come in the coming weeks. The investigation into their private lives is no longer just motivated by their breakup. Under a legal microscope, it involves the meticulous breakdown of an individual's personality. However, I don't think Cardi B is the quiet exit kind. This opinion is shared by the entire company, which is keeping an eye on whether the alleged pregnancy claim is a desperate attempt to gain leverage, or to expose a terrible truth that will drastically change the course of events. In the slow-moving, suspenseful setting, every bit of information may be a weapon. The article claims that Offset isn't going to give up, refusing to take back his claims despite the overwhelmingly negative feedback he is receiving from those who think Card's privacy has been infringed. The court battle's internal records are reportedly growing in size every day, completed with questions about the children's identities and futures. Messages and depositions that show a divided home are illuminating the family dynamics. You'll find it in crossfire as we move forward. Our study's primary focus remains the psychological toll that this is having on all those involved. The purpose of the Super Bowl was to commemorate a shared experience and a triumph. Instead, it became the start of an endless court struggle and the graveyard of a romance. Because of Offset's assertions, a private tragedy has turned into a public investigation in which every aspect is a clue and every silence is a suspicion, not simply for the next big story, but for the realization that would ultimately explain how everything went so wrong so quickly. We are currently looking into the claims of duplicate reservations and the allegedly ignored departure routes, which led to the film's current state of full catastrophe. The legal battle is becoming more intense, and leaks are only the beginning of what is truly happening behind the scenes. The story is controlled by the people who have the files. In addition, the files now indicate a confrontation from which no one will survive. Each move's long-term repercussions on their existence and legacies in this legal chess match. The suspense remains as the world awaits the next official file that could confirm or deny the startling accusations that have been made publicly. The scorching light of the court. The psychological warfare in this high-stakes legal struggle continues to intensify as we reveal additional details. According to insiders, the legal system has evolved from a standard divorce process to something more akin to a Cold War interrogation. Reports state that the files allegedly being sent between legal teams consist of a collection of digital traces, messages, location data, and timestamps that, when paired with related allegations, will produce an unquestionable chronology of betrayal. The investigative narrative claimed that while the public was consumed with the glitz and glitter of professional football, a secret life was allegedly being led in the background. It's not just a headline that Cardi B is expecting a child with another man. It is thought to be a crucial part of Offset's legal strategy to damage her reputation. Viewers claimed that the signs were always present, hidden by subtle changes in her public image and her increasing protectiveness. Body language. Tension started in the days leading up to the Super Bowl, because the public thought they were witnessing a devoted husband standing by her boyfriend. However, insiders assert that the truth was a thinly veiled facade that was preserved, linked by contractual obligations and public expectations. The results from the inner circle depict a psychologically stressful setting, where every action was monitored and every discussion was planned. According to comments made by those close to Stefan Diggs, the pressure eventually became too great to bear as the stadium began to fill with memories of his complicated past. Diggs' life was reportedly tense and prepared for a brawl, due to the presence of multiple ladies. Collapse. This was not just a football situation, because it was about the meeting of multiple cultures. Cardi B reportedly felt like just another face in a long list of responsibilities. A pattern of activity shown by a study of the digital data suggests a purposeful distancing. As the game progressed, Cardi B's psychological distance from the culture she was supposed to be advocating widened. Diggs' camp apparently attempted to keep his personal life from interfering with his profession, which left them in a state of internal fear. A picture of a man who is allegedly more focused on planning trips is being painted by observers, resolving internal disputes as opposed to investigating defense tactics. The primary cause of the Super Bowl loss, according to viewers, was this lack of focus, an incapacity that extended far beyond the field and into his everyday existence. As the legal battle intensifies, the supposed mysterious man at the center of Offset's accusations has come into closer focus. The Courtroom League claims that Offset is prepared to divulge identities, which would stun the entire industry. There is widespread mistrust since everyone in their group is being looked into as a potential conspirator. According to the whispers, this is not an isolated incident. Offset feels like a victim of a massive psychological scam because of a rumored history of dishonesty. Reports state that he is defending his actions, including the alleged revelation of personal information, as a necessary response to a woman who, in his opinion, betrayed her while he was still trying to maintain their family. Investigative reporter Len depicts a woman who is suddenly asserting her rights with a fierce, uncompromising fervor. Insiders claim that despite the startling accusations, Cardi B is refusing to back down. Reports state that she is preparing a response that will target Offset's core character. The narrative claims that her legal team is focusing on his alleged history of psychological manipulation and control, depicting him as a man professing to be pregnant in a desperate attempt to maintain his position of authority. A slow-burning thriller-like intensity is created in the courtroom by each file, which is a new piece of evidence in a puzzle. It keeps getting more complicated. The people must decide who is only a victim and who truly orchestrated this disaster. Fans and bloggers are conducting a comprehensive investigation in response to the claims of a clandestine pregnancy, going through every old video and picture in quest of proof. Every change in diet, missed occasion, and clothing choice is being scrutinized for potential hints. Online reactions have been sharply split, with some urging Cardi B to provide medical records and others denouncing Offset for his alleged invasive tactics. The atmosphere carries the weight of these secrets, and it is becoming clear how much of a psychological toll they have had on both parties. Their seldom public appearances, Cardi B is reportedly defending herself by remaining silent. Others view it as a necessary defense against a man who has proven himself, while others see it as an indication of guilt, his intent to damage her reputation. According to the archives, the Super Bowl aftermath ultimately served as the catalyst for this entire dispute. The humiliation of the public split and the subsequent unfollowing on social media, which seemed to hastily fill it with his shocking claims, left a gap. The analysis found that the choice to bring up a recent pregnancy in court was a strategic move meant to impede Card's advancement and make her more defensive. In this movie, the personal becomes the target of legal animosity. Every secret has the potential to be harmful, even political ones. The entertainment world is giddy with anticipation as the next installment of this investigative drama approaches. The idea of double booking in relationships and life keeps coming up in the narrative. One life was allegedly being lived for the cameras, while another, more secretive, was being nurtured in the background. This dualism makes the courtroom conceivable, conflict that is fascinating and painful. With celebrity status tinting the windows and contracts for the walls, it depicts a house divided against itself. The file claims that the whole picture may not be made public for months or possibly years because the truth is concealed beneath numerous layers of legal wrangling and public relations. The psychological battle is far from over, and the investigation is still under progress. The only thing that is certain is that this fight will cost more than anyone could have predicted. The entire world is still watching the courtroom when the silence is finally broken and the truth is made public. The suspense is building quickly. We go deeper into the legal archives, where the information reveals a tale of total psychological isolation, and into the following stage of this terrible film, tragedy as we investigate the crumbling foundations of this relationship. People within the courthouse have said that the tension inside has gone from a simple dispute to one of pure investigative dread. Cardi B was allegedly caught between a man who was failing on the international scene and her secret existence, which was rapidly becoming impossible to hide, while Stefon Diggs was caught in a personal trap, according to reports that Offset's legal team is intensifying their claims that the Super Bowl wasn't just a performance. Insiders claim that the air becomes suffocating whenever the alleged pregnancy is mentioned, since it represents the ultimate betrayal of everyone. We were handed a contract that once outlined them. The data show that Offset is using this as leverage to show that their shared home life was a carefully staged cinematic illusion, while the reality was something far more broken. Viewers claimed that Cardi B's behavior during the tense moments demonstrated the signs of this breach. Throughout the championship week, supporters who attended the gatherings said she seemed like a woman who was already looking for a way out. The investigation of her behavior suggests a series of unexplained absences and a sudden shift in her network of trust. Despite the fact that she was in the middle of the crowd, Offset's investigators have been monitoring these anomalies for months in an attempt to build a case that suggests Cardi was accused of juggling two lives at once. According to sources from the court discovery process, this investigative threat led to this shocking accusation in court. It was not an explosion, but the product of a slow surveillance procedure. The family is reportedly experiencing an emotional panic due to the mental burden of this discovery. Rumor has it that other people are also interested in learning the baby's name and father, but there is a significant legal battle that might determine how millions of dollars are distributed. The defense is pushing the notion that Offset is fabricating these claims to save his image after his own public transgressions. But based on the evidence that has surfaced from the court, he seems to be acting confidently, which makes Card's team uneasy. The air in the legal chambers smells of an approaching storm. According to the investigative reporter's findings, both parties appear prepared to release information that might drastically alter how the public perceives these symbols. The consequences have also crippled the nearby professional community. Trademark agreements and future projects are reportedly at a standstill, while the industry waits to see if the allegations of an affair and the alleged pregnancy are backed up by concrete proof. They have thrown out the tale of the silent departure. Instead, we witness a boisterous, chaotic, and very dramatic destruction of a legacy. Insiders claim that Cardi B is more impacted by the investigation than she acknowledges. She seems to be telling her closest friends and family that she feels like her past is after her. The psychological stakes are now tied to her continued status as a public figure as she fights a narrative that implicates her as the architect behind her own death. The investigation continues. Go back to the Super Bowl, the scene of the crime. The humiliation of having to share an arena with Stefon Diggs, other baby parents reportedly shattered cards. The impact of two reservations in a public stadium on one's mental health purportedly generated the acrimonious private arguments that Offset is today using to back up his claims. Backstage observers remarked that the couple's silence was so intense that it felt like a physical burden,